And so we gather here together to look at this amazing chart for January 18th of 2026, the first full moon of this year. And it is a powerful essence. In, in astrology, it is that there is what is called a stellium. It includes 5 or more planets that are conjunct to each other. The first one and the last one may not be conjunct, but in this particular stellium, it is that everything is very close. Mars and Mercury are very closely conjunct, and Mars in Capricorn is about the actions and activities of the law, of the justice. It is that Mars is about the movement, anger, aggravation, fear. So the Mars-Mercury conjunction is still going to perpetuate for a bit longer all of the communication that is coming out of Washington, D.C. about war and conflict and ideas that are supposedly to change the direction of things, but simply seem to be, in many ways, making them a bit more complicated. The sun and the new moon are conjunct at 28 degrees of Capricorn, sitting very, very close to that point of the Earth's axis. It is the last 2 degrees, 28 and 29, bring in that approach, that balance of the strength of being aligned with the earth, no matter what sign they are in. And it is that both sun and moon are conjunct Venus at 1 degree, 43 minutes of Aquarius. Aquarius is about the future. Aquarius is about unconditional love, compassionate objectivity. So it isn't caught up in the emotions of the logical mind. It is powerfully, lovingly, shall we say, objective. Unconditional love loves you. It loves you no matter what. It loves you no matter who you are. It loves you because you are divinely created. And in these times, the call of all the movement in the heavens is calling humanity home to themselves. We talk a lot about letting go of the things that you believe you cannot live without. And this stadium is about, I suppose we could say, judicially letting go of what has been in order to move forward into the new future. Pluto and Venus conjunct. Pluto, sitting at 3 degrees of Aquarius, is in trine with Uranus, still retrograde at the very latter part of the sign of Taurus, but getting ready to move into Gemini within the next month. Gemini, it is about community, it is about coming together, it is about communication, and it is that in 2025, it moved from the sign of Taurus into Gemini. Gemini is about communication. Mercury rules it. And so what we are seeing in many places now are gatherings of people coming together to express their ideas, their opinions, their desires, or the things that they do not wish to have. And it seems to be increasing, building, because Mars in the sign of Capricorn is exalted. It's very strong in its vigor, in its energy. And it's as though the voices may seem to be getting louder. The lesson is as you speak quietly, but you put the power into your passion, into your desire. Shouting, in many instances, simply takes the energy away from you. It exhausts you. It keeps you from being all that you can be in situations where being yourself completely and totally is very important. So even though Mars is a warrior and it cries for the warrior to step forward, even the governor of Minnesota is saying to the people, don't buy in to what's happening. Don't get caught up. Don't let the trickster ego make you believe that the louder you shout or the more reactive you are, the more you accomplish. So this stellium from Mars to Pluto is definitely potent. It's filled with power. It's fire igniting the air. It, in the spirit, is the breath of life, the spark that illuminates the inner self. And with Uranus moving into Gemini, the collective coming together is going to be very interesting because there is so much effort being put into pulling people apart, keeping them from accomplishing, not only in the United States, but all over the world. And so this desire for community and communication will be much more powerful as the energies move toward the spring equinox. Saturn, the planet that rules Capricorn, is preparing to move into the sign of Aries. And very shortly thereafter, or rather, Neptune is going to move, and then Saturn will move into the sign of Aries shortly thereafter. Pluto and Uranus, the future, the power of spirit, the expanding beyond the limits of the physical world with your own inner knowing, feeling the movement, the power, the essence of the divine, the energy to walk with that and carry it in yourself and live it in faith, in grace, in harmony. It is the changes that are imminently coming are to strengthen each and every soul on this planet. Toward the latter part of February, the Chinese New Year will herald the year of the horse. Horse is about strength. It is about balance. It is about the swiftness of carrying from one place to another your own energy, your thoughts, your ideas, the ways of change. And this year, every 12 years, the sign of the horse comes up as the sign for the year. But this year, it is a dragon horse, a red horse, the power and energy of the ancient wisdom of the fire of the dragon that is both cleansing and it can be destructive. So everything is calling for new beginnings, changing from how you have thought about going forward in your life, how you have planned what you're going to do next. And the energy basically says that what you plan will become progressively less and less what you have believed you would accomplish. Because planning is a part of the order that is passing away. And the energy, the movement into a new way of being with life, being with yourself, looking forward into the future. And as we spoke in the group that we held earlier on this day, it is to become accomplished at adapting to what you don't know. For the logical world needs to know. It needs an answer. It needs a plan. It needs a description. And where things are going now, it is to move your consciousness to connect with your inner essence and feel that energy inside of you. Neptune, imagination, connection with all things that are not physical or of the physical plane. Saturn is about being grounded, but it isn't the grounding of depression, disappointment, and doubt. It is about the inner connection to your heart, your soul, and your body brain to feel more how you are functioning with life from your inner space. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, and it will remain in that sign for approximately another 6 months. It also is about community, bringing together. It is about transparency, authenticity, the ability to live you real. So, as it sits in relative opposition with the planet Mercury, there's going to be a lot of talk, but a lot of the talk that you're going to be hearing, the more that you anchor within, the more that you're listening with your inner self rather than with the logical mind. A lot of the talk will be just going over and over and over the same things, because what can you say about what you don't know? The call to come within, the call to be connected within yourself, to feel that sense within you. And that will allow you to hear without ears. The master book, the Bible, says, let those without eyes see. So more and more, humanity is beginning to allow themselves to perceive life from a higher frequency, which means you're looking through your third eye in the center of your forehead, rather than only through the physical orbs, which look out into the world and they see things. But what you think you see isn't always what you saw. And what you think you hear may not prove to be what you have really heard. In these times, it is, people cannot say, but this is exactly what I said. It is, beloved masters, there are too many people with recording devices, and many of them with video cameras, that will take pictures that show what happened. But even in that, if you look at this video from this angle, and then you look at one from this angle, and then from this angle, and every single one shows you either a totally different perspective or an overview that allows you to see more of how everything in the event, in the perspective, were connected. And that is what you want to develop in your inner self. Develop that ability to allow your inner self to show you what's really going on, to feel it deep inside of you. And the more that you learn, the more that you practice, the more that you apply yourself to coming from within, living within, the more you begin to experience feeling life bigger. The sense of being crowded, of being oppressed, begins to lighten up, because as you look at your inner world, it's awesomely vast. It's amazingly beautiful. It shows you not only what logic would call the path, but it shows you, as you're walking on your path, many little side paths that take you into new perspective, new places, new vistas, seeing aspects of life that the logical mind has dismissed with a wave of the hand, or perhaps said, oh, you needn't bother to look at that because it really isn't important. But when you feel the integration of yourself with yourself within, you began to find spirit brings you messages. Spirit will tap you on the shoulder and say, come this way and let me show you something that those who are so committed to going from A to Z will never see. So being willing to take the time to venture on a side road, because, beloved masters, Spirit doesn't call you to walk off of your main path if it doesn't have a gift of your knowing and understanding, a gift of your expansion of what you have called your world. But now the planetary potentials all the way through 2025 were moving to expand, to broaden, to open up this inner world, and literally to help you see without your physical orbs and hear without just the ears, which do not always clearly register what was said, especially if there's a lot of shouting going on. And in many instances around the globe now, there is a lot of shouting going on, whether it is between two people in their own home, or whether it is between a vast collective of people from one nation, believing that they should stand up for themselves with others. Standing straight. Your posture makes a great deal of difference in how you move through life. The logical mind says you stand up for yourself. Spirit says, come here and stand with yourself. Be here with you, your higher self, your soul center, your soul. To stand with yourself. And it isn't about agreeing or disagreeing. There's certainly, with Mars conjunct the planet Mercury, going to be a lot of disagreements. And the law that has practically been set aside for the last year, is beginning to wake up. And those who know the law but have feared to say anything, either because they feared for their own safety, their own life, or they feared that if they said the wrong thing, they might lose favor in places where they believed that favor was important. So, dearly beloved masters, there is, and there will certainly continue increasingly through 2026 and 27 and 28, shifts and changes of perspective. More and more people, not only in the United States of America, but all over the world. People that believed that if they came together and created a united nation, that it would be a safety, a safe place. And now the balance is shifting. And those that have considered themselves allies have been pushed aside, while those that have been considered enemies are being pulled together or shunned, abused, taken over. A redistribution of wealth. Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is about security. It is about wealth. It is about opulence. It is about the easy life. But when it becomes simply greed, when it becomes avarice, then it is the life, no matter how much the wealth, is not so easy. And the head of the ruler doesn't sleep any easier on its pillow than those that it believes it's ruling. And so the Armageddon that is spoken about in the book of Revelations, the last global war, the last great war, is moving along, and it's being nudged and herded and directed so that there is a whole new positioning in the world complex, which makes it more vital than ever before for people in every country to stop saying, if it's not happening here, it has nothing to do with me. This is a planet, albeit it is not a great big planet, but it is a planet of 8 billion souls. Have you dared to consider, to feel into the fact that there are 8 billion souls on this planet? Billion. And each one, you and all the others are absolutely divinely unique, like snowflakes. No two are ever alike. And yet the design is always amazing. It is interesting. It is beauteous. And so, no matter where you are on planet Earth, everything that is happening to anyone is happening to you. Because through the soul connection, through the divine, all souls are a part of a divine whole. You have free will, the ability to make choices in every situation. How many times a day do you make choices? Do you go to center and consider how do I require to make this choice, Spirit? If you go to the logical mind must take a lot of time, and it usually makes things as complicated as possible. So if you are trying to figure out how to approach what is going on the planet, then we would say, forgive that old habit and come to center. Let go of everything that is in the way energetically with you being comfortable in your own center. Because as you connect in center, you connect to the divine. You connect to the divine. And I again would reference the teaching that I gave the group this afternoon about adapting to what you don't know and the EI Atlas. It is knowing, feeling your connection within yourself to the divine, to center. And spirit can take an overview and almost in seconds, you will recognize within yourself, sometimes with such a surprise, that you would say, oh, or aha, because spirit can find the answer, move through the loads of information that are in your DNA, and give you a very powerful sense of the truth of the situation. You still have free will to make the choices of whatever direction you choose to take. But it is, beloved masters, that when you feel that deep, pure, clear, honest, and the more you use it, the more transparent it becomes, the more you can experience that feeling of comfort, the divinely appropriate perspective, how clear it is, how easy it is. And I can assure you, dearly beloved masters, that the divine is not going to counsel you for war. It is not going to tell you how to go to battle. It is not going to put a gun in your hand and say, go out there, you're part of the army of God. Because the brilliant mind of man in the technology that has been created in these more recent times that really isn't about coming home to yourself. It's about getting further and further away from who you are. There is a new pope, and it is that he is a man who honors authenticity and transparency. He is a quiet man. He doesn't have a great necessity for shouting out his understandings or bravado to bring attention to himself. He is a man that has made his path, if you would, to really come home to himself and live in such a way that others will find it intriguing to find themselves the quiet, confident, competent, peaceful life. So, beloved masters, the heavens are moving in their courses, and every turn of the wheel of life on this planet is turning humanity around and facing them in a new direction. You're not just going to be turned around and headed back where you came from. You're going to be perhaps going in that direction, but where you got to where you are today, going this way, as you're apparently going back, you're going much higher, spiraling higher, and moving your consciousness into the vibrational frequency of places that humanity has never been before. Those that are wanting at this point in time to take over the world are still operating on that path of aggression, of intimidation, of threat, of from one side saying there must be no death, and from the other side of the mouth, they must all die, and with good riddance. Now, God created life and life cycles so that in nature, the lives are not particularly short, but they have great purpose. And dearly beloved masters, in the life of humanity, you have brought your lives by erroneous belief systems to be shorter and shorter and shorter, which has in many ways denied you the right to really fulfill your soul's purpose, because one life is simply not enough. And yet people look at death as a loss, as some fatal mistake, as some way that they failed. The planets in their courses are seeking to remind you, remember you cellularly, to the fact that you are eternal, that this is forever, that all the lives you've lived are recorded in your DNA, in your cellular structure. And the storage of all of those incidents is so magnificently recorded that if it is important, then some life that you have lived in another time may come to you etherically, spiritually, and bring you information that will actually help you, because you have a pool of wisdom that is concentrated in that seed of the soul. It's accessible through the other. It is not accessible through the logical mind, because the logical mind, by choice, operates in a totally different, much lower vibrational frequency. Humanity has become addicted to the flesh. It has become caught up in what humans in physical bodies do or don't do, what they create, or how they have forgotten to create. And if they have forgotten to create, then why bother to attempt to create? So a lot of the souls on this ball have given up. And it is the call of the divine in this time to wake up, to shine your light, to live who you are to the very best of your ability. You can't change them. So put your focus on living lovingly with you. These are such powerfully important times. Everything may seem like it's pretty much what it always was, and yet, vibrationally, energetically, essentially, cellularly, you are changing in ways that will take you on to something new. If you hold back, if you resist, if you deny, if you make the choice to ignore spirit, you will still go on, but it most assuredly won't be in the direction where you were hoping you could go. Because, dearly beloved masters, there is no amount of monetary payment that is going to get you into heaven. No matter how rich in the worldly way anyone is, they're not going to go beyond what their logical mind will allow unless they're willing to connect within and experience the expansion of who you truly are within yourself. The logical mind, especially through the churches, has created so much confusion about what God wants. And the planets are literally calling for clarity, transparency, honesty, integrity, not only what you say to others, but, beloved masters, what you say, what you listen to, what you experience within yourself. Because logic says very often, well, if I don't like it, if I just ignore it, it'll go away. And as you are moving upward and forward into a completely new vibrational frequency, you will begin to realize that you are probably going to be called to really change the direction of your choices. Because you cannot keep doing what you have been doing and change direction, move into new places. Because the choices of that path literally are choices of a path of destruction. The darkness can limit, and the light illuminates. It shows you the way. It can light your path so you know where to step. It also allows you to see in the darkness what direction it would be best for you to go. But all of that is directed, dearly beloved masters, from the inner world. And the outer world, whether it is driven by fear, whether it is driven by greed, whether it is driven by just going along with the program to see what's going to happen next and not really paying attention to self. It is the choices that are being made to go along with where the world is going are going to begin to show up. There's going to begin to be, from the depths of yourself, some questions, a feeling of discomfort, a feeling of, I can't go this way any further. And when that recognition is made, then, beloved masters, it literally is to turn to your inner self. It isn't about turning around in the physical world and trying to retrace your path back to where you might think that you stepped away. Because the path you took to get where you are today is no longer available. The path forward is still subject to free will. So, lots of change. And the changes that are made in the inner world dynamically influence the outer world. To feel the joy, to feel the comfort, to feel the courage, to meet life, not with the idea of, I could die from this, or this is going to be really hard work, but from the perspective of, I can hardly wait to see what you have brought me or what you will bring me on this day, Father, Mother, God. To call the goddess when you have a question and not to be upset when the answer doesn't come immediately. Because even though Spirit can give you a very clear answer in a lightning fast way, it may or may not respond to your logic questions as quickly, because it's time to change. Even the languaging on the planet must change. So many speaking so many different languages and conflicting over what is being said. And it isn't that everyone requires to give up their native tongue. That's not it. But the more you operate in your life from the inside out, the more that confusion of babble begins to fade away. And you begin to hear, feel, see, feel. Not so much logically think, feel, but certainly internally feel the changes, the answers, the prompting of a new direction. And no, you are never forced to make a choice. You still always have free will. If your free will is directed at lowering the capability of others, turning them away from a path that could heal them, then you may find that when you make a choice, there is a detour sign on that particular path. Go another direction, find another way, because this way is not going to serve you. It isn't going to serve the earth. And therefore, it's to find a path that will lead you into a higher love. And so, with all of these amazing, magnificent changes, and the new moon is always about what's going on the inside. You create within at the new moon, you explore, you seek for understanding, and it gestates, and then at the full moon, you may begin to manifest things that you have been gestating. Now, it isn't just from one new moon to one full moon. What you begin to contemplate, what you seek to put in motion today, may not show up until this summer. Because as the planets move in their courses, they change their positions, their points of activation to each other, so that what you set in motion today is perhaps not going to be fully developed in order to manifest for 3 months, 6 months, a year. Sometimes, if the planets of activation on which you were making your choices are slow moving, you might not get the answer for several years. So logic has taught you to give up. God didn't hear me. I've asked and asked and asked and asked, and I get no answer. If you're not getting an answer, it isn't time. And Spirit doesn't find it necessary to keep saying it's not time yet. We will tell you that if you just are worrying yourself so much. We will simply remind you that what you are seeking to have manifest in your life, it isn't time yet. And along the way, even if you've given up, Spirit may bring you some new piece of information, a new instruction, a new perspective, raise you a little higher so that your overview sees things that make a big difference in the choices you were going to make. So don't give up. The logical mind says, look what I have lost. And we say, beloved masters, look at how much space has been created in your life to be filled with something new. Because so many people get so attached to things from the past that they fill their inner spaces until there is no place for new. And we keep reminding you there's always more. So when things leave your life, it's because you require some room for something more. It may be bigger, it may be more refined, it may be more enlightened, it may be more loving. But if there's old, dark objects that have been stored away, you haven't thought of them in a long time, you haven't even considered using them, and I can't remember when. So now, in this beginning time of 2026, it might be a really good idea to clean your physical closets, which translates to clearing your internal storerooms. And I swear to you, dearly beloved masters, that you have a lot more storage room inside than you do outside. So, cleaning your closets. We've spoken quite a bit about the inner garden and having an inner garden. It may be comparable to a physical garden that you have in the world, but it can also be created from your imagination. And yes, beloved masters, imagination is real. It's a valuable tool. It allows you to move into the more. So cleaning out the spaces, even if, yes, it hurts and stings because you haven't dealt with the wound of what you have named loss yet. And a lot of times when there is some very painful, very traumatic experience, it's as though a part of you sticks in that place. And certainly as the planets in their courses are moving, the wheel is moving, the circle of life is turning, and you really require to keep your house in order because there are so many changes that are coming. And so, dearly beloved masters, to look for new changes. If you feel out of balance, it isn't more than likely something you're doing as much as it is how much energy you're putting into avoiding connecting with yourself. Because as you move within, as you connect within, as you feel it in your heart, a sense of love, that you may not have experienced in lifetimes. And so, beloved masters, it is vital that you get clear with yourself within. This is the direction I desire to go. And no matter what your choice, whether it's positive or negative, nothing's going to happen unless you take action. And a lot of times the action isn't even physical. The action is the energy of connecting with yourself, the paying attention to how different it feels when you're trying to make something happen and when you're willing to allow the changes without control. Because that is an element that has been very upfront in the lives of those on this planet for eons of time. And now it isn't about losing control. It's about very calmly, very quietly laying it down and walking away. The tightness, the tension, the need, the addiction that comes from the absolute passion to be in control. You are encouraged to be in control of your life. And yet, dearly beloved masters, control really isn't, because in the final end, you are a co-creator with the divine. You are a co-pilot. You have the free will to make appropriate choices, to make choices that aren't so appropriate. But when you begin to move into higher dimensional frequencies, then you are sitting in the co-pilot seat. Or perhaps many people like to think of it as God is my co-pilot. So God's sitting over there in the co-pilot seat and you're still in control. So switch seats, because the co-pilot position is always going to be yours. You don't get to move God out of the primary design that was created so long ago that you couldn't even fathom. And to feel that love, that attentiveness, that caring from the divine that allows you to understand, I am beloved, I am important. My life is necessary. It's worthy. And so, dearly beloved masters, we have mentioned that there are those that are coming to be with the earth in this time of transformation. And so we spoke at great length about that. in the group this afternoon. It is about your ability to allow yourself to remember how you use the energy of a divine creative master. It isn't about push. It isn't about trying. It certainly isn't about force. It's not about control. It's about the open-hearted, open-minded, soulful willingness to be shown a way that will give you what you desire, even though it won't take you to the desire along the path you may have decided you won't follow. But Spirit will take you to your desire as it is for the highest good of yourself and all concerned. So that doesn't mean it has to be for everyone else and not you. That is where you've been going for a long time. But it does mean that as the good comes to you, you share it. As the good comes to you, you feel from your heart and soul a sense of where I can be of assistance. But you also ask, rather than being in control, if you feel led to assist someone, then you say, how may I serve you? I feel called to help you. So what would you feel would assist you in this time? And that allows them to really consider, what do I desire? And if they say, oh, nothing, it isn't about being in control to say, I was led because I feel that you're desiring something. And if I can be of assistance, I would love to help you. You may have a mind full of great ideas about what you think they should have. But a great part of divine creation is learning to allow the other artists also to create. Have brainstorming sessions. Share your ideas, your brilliance, your creativity. But dearly beloved masters, give others the opportunity to share. And if you don't come up with anything that will help them today, turn it over to Spirit. Because Spirit will not only assist you to know what it would be that would be helpful, but Spirit will also give you a sense of divinely appropriate timing so that you are not rushing in to help someone sometimes before anything has happened and they don't know why you're there or what you're wanting to help them with. So make the sharing gentle. Make it calm. Allow it to be an earnest desire just to love. And sometimes that's all that's required is the love. Make sure you don't deny yourself in that. So the logical mind might say, so what am I supposed to do with all of this? And I would say, probably less and less. Because it is being required that you pay more attention to the inner directive, divine directive. You were made by the divine. You were gifted with all of the tools and abilities that are required for you to accomplish what you were created to bring about. So, dearly beloved masters, to be with yourself in love and feel that love just flowing out. Can't you feel the love tonight? It's where you are. It is the beauty of all that is a bright and shining star. And as you feel that love, it attracts you, it magnetizes you. It will call the wanderers to come home. For the wheel of life is a wheel of fortune. And you are the travelers on the path. And so, dearly beloved masters, in the greatest of love, we are with you. We're not following you. We're not leading you. We're walking along beside you because we enjoy the company. And so, let us move forward together. As I have said, as you cross the rainbow bridge into that inner knowing, you must walk the first part of the bridge to let go, to clean your house. And then we meet you in the middle. And the fun begins of coming home to yourself, of knowing who you are, of feeling the love, of being brilliantly imaginative when you didn't think you had any good ideas at all. So, beloved masters, feel the love always. I bid you adieu.